Welcome to The Explainer.
So, could three simple rules really explain everything, from quantum physics all the way to human consciousness? Well, believe it or not, that's the goal of this massively ambitious theory from a researcher named Rudolf Schmidt. He proposed a single unified framework to explain, well, literally everything.
What Schmidt is putting on the table here is essentially a universal rulebook for all of reality. The idea is that the exact same fundamental principles are at play whether you're looking at the movement of our bodies, the tiniest particles, or even the nature of life itself. It's an all-encompassing definition of, well, being.
All right, Section 1, a new grammar of existence. And let's just take a second to appreciate how audacious this whole idea is. A new grammar for existence itself? Wow.
So the whole point here is to stop thinking about physics, biology, and philosophy as these totally separate fields. Instead, the theory argues that they're all operating under the same universal principles. Think of them like different dialects of the same cosmic language, all following the same deep underlying grammar.
Okay, so let's get to the core of it. Section 2, the three fundamental laws. What is this new reality actually built on? Well, it all boils down to three foundational axioms. Three simple, what the theory calls non-negotiable truths.
Okay, law number 1, the law of motion. This one's pretty straightforward, but the implications are huge. It says that every single physical movement, everything, from you walking across the room to a planet orbiting a star, has to follow either a straight path or a curved path through space. That's it. Those are the only two options. It's a universal geometric rule for all matter.
All right, now for the second law, the law of thought. This is where we jump from the purely physical world right into the mind. It says that every cognitive process, whether you're aware of it or not, is fundamentally just a form of information processing. It's a system, you know? It takes in information and then produces something new.
And when you lay it out like this, step 1, input, like sensory data. Step 2, processing, your brain making sense of it. And step 3, output, which could be a new idea or a physical reaction. Well, thinking suddenly seems a lot less magical, right? It looks more like a structured, almost physical process. Just like that planet has to follow a path in space, a thought has to follow this path of information process.
And that brings us to the third and final law, the law of time and energy. This is the one that really ties the first two together. It's simple. Both moving and thinking cost energy. And since we all have a limited, finite lifespan to use that energy, our entire existence is framed as a thermodynamic process. We're energy-consuming systems bound by time.
Okay, Section 3, challenging modern physics. Now this is where it gets really spicy, because these three simple laws, they don't just neatly fit in with modern science. No, they throw down a direct challenge to some of its most fundamental ideas.
So you've got Schmidt's universal laws on one side, and on the other, what the theory calls the problem in modern physics. We're talking about a head-on collision between the law of motion and quantum uncertainty, and another one between the law of time and energy and the classic laws of thermodynamics. It's basically saying these cornerstones of science might be, well, incomplete.
Take quantum uncertainty, for example. The theory argues it isn't some fundamental weirdness of reality where a particle doesn't have a precise path. Instead, it claims the particle does have a path, a determined one, but our ability to measure it is what's limited. It's a problem with our information gathering, not with reality itself.
And that leads us into Section 4, rethinking entropy and order. This, for me, is maybe the most radical part of the whole theory, a total rethink of entropy.
So, is the universe just doomed to decay into chaos? Or is that only half the story? We all know the second law of thermodynamics, right? It's one of the pillars of physics. It says disorder or entropy always increases. Things break down, chaos wins. But this theory asks, what if that's not the whole picture? This is a huge flip. Classic entropy is all about disorder, decay, chaos. But Schmidt's view, it sees entropy as the engine for creating new, higher levels of order. So the decay isn't the end of the story. It's the necessary ingredient, the fuel for something new and more complex to be born.
So if you look at this table, you can see how the theory revises the classic laws of thermodynamics.
For the first law, conservation of energy, it argues that for living things, time itself is a form of consumed energy, so it's not a closed system. For the second law, entropy isn't just decay, it's an engine for order. And for the third law, absolute zero, well, that's impossible for life because life is a process. A state of absolute rest just doesn't apply.
And the argument is that the evidence is all around us. Just look. The universe trends towards complexity. We see dust forming into planets and entire galaxies. We see single-celled organisms evolving into incredibly complex life. Heck, your own body is a symbiotic home for trillions of organisms. The theory's point is simple. These highly ordered systems couldn't possibly arise from a universe defined only by pure chaos.
Which brings us to our final section, a universe of purpose? Because if this worldview holds any water, it doesn't just rewrite some physics textbooks. It completely changes how we think about meaning and purpose itself.
And this quote from Schmidt really nails it. He says, "A theory that cannot explain becoming, only passing away, is not a complete theory of being." In other words, any science that only explains how things fall apart is missing half the equation. You also have to explain how things come together, how they become.
So here's the final and kind of mind-blowing takeaway. If we consider Schmidt's theory, then the emergence of all this complexity, life, consciousness, the whole shebang, it's not some random cosmic accident. It's a fundamental, baked-in feature of the universe itself.
And that leaves us with a really provocative question to ponder. If order is the rule, not the exception, what does that mean for our place in the universe? It suggests that we're not just some cosmic fluke. It reframes our existence as a natural, maybe even inevitable expression of the universe's most basic principles. Something to think about.